everybody else like 5 more minutes to join the meeting. So after in the next 5 minutes, we start off. All right, we'll begin now. Good evening, everybody. Um, yeah, the class just started. I was giving 5 minutes for everybody else who is about to join. So, good evening, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful day. All right, so today we'll be looking at um, control flows, loops, and can everybody hear me? You can just wave. All right, all right. All right, so today we'll be looking at control flows. All right, all right, thank you. So we're looking at control flows, loops, and string manipulation. Okay, so can everybody see my screen? All right, all right, so just go ahead. So today's class will be fast, very fast. And also in today's class, we'll be taking examples. We'll be coding and taking examples and just seeing how each and every one of these things just play out. So control flow, what exactly is control flow? So, all right, so let's go over to the next slide. So control flow is in programming is how we control the flow of code execution based on certain conditions. So it's basically the technical term for specifying the sequence in which a code executes. So usually code executes in a top-down manner. So what I mean by top-down manner is that the very first code at the top is what runs. Then just like that. So the first code runs, the second one runs, third one runs. But one of the ways you can change the control flow of a code is by introducing loops. So that way it can repeat a code or a line of code multiple times till a certain condition is met. So loops are used to execute a block of code repeatedly. You know, when someone says something is just looping, it's just going around in circles, repeating itself over and over and over. But in programming, a loop continually repeats a particular block of code or line of code repeatedly till a particular condition is met. So until that condition is met, um, it will keep repeating that line of code. So then we're also going to look at string manipulation. String manipulation involves changing or extracting parts of text. Yes, Anthony.
Sorry, I didn't know what you are introducing because I joined and you said we should wait for some time. Then I didn't. Before coming back to it, you have already reached this place.
All right, so you haven't really missed much. So I just explained what control flow is. It's basically Control flow is basically the technical term for specifying the sequence in which a code runs or code executes. So you probably wondered what goes on behind the scenes while a program is running. But of course, most of us know that you have to write lines of code to achieve any desired output. So originally, codes run in a top-down manner. So I explained what top-down manner is, which is the very first line of code is the next line of code that runs. So just like that, it runs the next line of code. So the first line of code runs just like that, just like that. But you also have something called a loop. So um, a loop actually changes the control flow of a, should I say, a function or a particular block of code. So it can repeat a particular instruction over and over and over again till a certain condition is met. So, and the next thing we're going to be looking at is string manipulation. So string manipulation changes or involves changing or extracting parts of a text. And you can only do string manipulation with methods. So I was thinking of adding JavaScript methods to what I was going to be teaching today, but um, JavaScript methods are a lot. There are over hundreds of them, and JavaScript methods are they vary. So there is the window object methods. So those are methods you can call for the window for that particular window. Then there is the date methods. There are methods you call for the date. Then there is string manipulation methods. You can change a letter or a string to capital letter, small letter, just like that. So, and you can even slice it up. You can change a sentence can slice it up into words or acronyms. You're basically manipulating strings. So there are actually methods for that. Then there is calculation methods where you can carry out square root, multiplication, division, all of those things. So I'll move on, but I'll just be showing you different methods here and there. But I'd really advise that you actually go and actually read up and browse more about JavaScript methods because there are a lot. Um, we're not going to be using all of them. I don't even think you're going to be using all of them. I don't use all of them when I build um, stuff. I don't use all of them, just some. All right, so the next slide. So conditional statements, the if statement. I think this is very, very straightforward and easy to understand. So the if statement, so if a certain condition is true, the code executes. So by default, the if statement, the if conditional statement runs if something is true. If you wanted something to be false, you'd have to. Okay, sorry, what did you mean by material? Is it like what to read? Because I would actually make them available after this class. Documentations to read. I'll just make them available. All right, so the if statement is by default true. So whatever you are putting inside the condition, because like we see here, it's syntax, then in brackets condition. So if a certain condition is true. So if it's not true, or rather, if you want the condition not to be true, if you want it to be false, you would have to put an exclamation mark in front of the condition. So if it is raining, take an umbrella. So we see that if is raining is true, which it is because there's no negation in front of it. You're not negating the all I call it now. Should I call it state? In React, you could call that a state now. So you're not negating it. So you're not negating it. That means the function inside the curly braces will run. So take umbrella is a function. So I don't want to start going into what makes that a function, but I want you to note that, like I showed you in the last class, there is JavaScript functions are written in camel casing. So take umbrella. So the first letter of the word, let's put it like that, is in small letter. The second word is usually a bigger letter. So that's a function that has been called. So the next slide is else if. So the else if statement. So the syntax is if is raining is true, it will execute a code. That's to take an umbrella. But if you want to add another condition, you know, you can add as many conditions. You can just say if is raining is true, take an umbrella. Else if it's sunny, wear sunscreen. You can also add other else if. Else if again, if it's windy or is windy, you can just put don't go outside. All right. So if is raining is true, which it is because it's not being negated, you take an umbrella. But you want to add another condition. If is else if, like, you to add another condition, you would have to say else if. So else if is sunny, which is true because it's not being negated, wear sunscreen. Else if again, so you want to add another condition. Else if um is windy, which is true and it's not being negated now, don't go outside. So I hope that makes sense. So the next slide is else. Else, you usually use else when you want to end it. So you can't say if then else, then come and call an else if. It doesn't work like that, all right? So it has to be if, else if, then else. If you try to run an else if, it just won't work. All right. And doesn't actually make sense. If you actually think about it, it doesn't make sense. So um you only use an else if there is nothing coming after. That's just the end of the series of conditional statements. So you use else. And usually you use else when the condition is not met. So if is raining is true, take an umbrella. But if it's not true, wear sunglasses. Now, this is you assuming that if it's not raining, it's probably sunny. All right. So if is raining is true, take an umbrella. But if it's not true, that if is raining is not true now, else wear sunglasses. So that's just how it works. That's how conditional statements work. So I hope that makes sense. Moving on to the next thing, which is comparison operators. So like I mentioned, this class is going to be very fast, and we're also going to be going into practical, like practice examples as well. But if you have any questions after my slides, you could just make your questions ready. So after the slides, I'll be open to questions, or you could actually start dropping them in the comment section or the in-call messages. So comparison operators are used to compare values and return a Boolean result. So each and every one of those symbols there are comparison operators. So double equal to, triple equal to, a exclamation mark before the equal to, an exclamation mark before a double equal to, the greater than sign, the less than sign, the greater than or equal to sign, and the less than or equal to sign. So each and every one of these operators have their use cases. But the difference between the double equal to and the triple equal to is that a double equal to serves as a type cohesion. So in our last class, we looked at type cohesion. So type cohesion is, wow, okay. To explain this double equal to now, I don't know okay, the way I'm going to explain it, I hope it sort of like makes sense. So we understand what type cohesion is. When a particular data type converts the other data type due to maybe comparison, or maybe an operation is being carried out between the two of them. So it converts the other data type to its own data type. I don't know if that makes sense. So let's say the first data type is a number, and the next data type is a string. If you used a double equal to, let's say 5 now, and then a string of 5. So you said 5 double equal to a string of 5. Now, like I said, comparison operators return true or false. That's the only thing they return. All right, there's no problem, Tijani. So there are two. So yeah, you have 5, which is a number. The data type for 5 is a number. So, and the data type for the next one, which is 5, is string as well. So you have 5, a number, and 5, a string. So if you try to compare the two of them, it will give you an answer for true. So it will give you true as your answer. But it's not, now you're probably thinking, how does that even work? Because there are two data types, they just can't come together. Well, that's what type cohesion is. So if you compared 5 as a number, double equal to 5 as a string, it will give you true, because double equal to carries out type cohesion. It's what they call a loose equal to. So it's a more loose equal to. But the triple equal to, on the other hand, is very strict. So if you brought 5 as a number and 5 as a string, and I wanted to compare it with a triple equal to, it will give you the answer of false, because they are not of the same type. All right, so are you seeing the difference here? The double equal to carries out type cohesion, and the triple equal to does not carry out type cohesion.
Please, can
So
you come again, sir?
the double equal to carries out type cohesion. So it's a loose equal to. But the triple equal to does not carry out type cohesion. It's what you would call a strict equal to. It compares data types. So if you wanted to make sure that the value you are receiving from a user has to be a number, take for instance, you created a form with an input box where the person is supposed to put in their phone number. But the person comes and puts in a text. That's not what you want. That's not what you want to send back to your server. So you have to make sure that the value, the type dot value, is actually equivalent to an integer. It has to be an integer. So you would have to do a strict equal to, which is the triple equal to, assuming you want to go about it like that, so that the person doesn't come there and start putting in letters. Now you probably see, maybe you're trying to type in your PIN for your bank. Now you find that it's only your keypad, the keypad containing only numbers turn up, no letters. All right. So there's a code behind the scene that has been run, or rather invoked, so that it's only numbers that can go into that input box, nothing else. Only numbers, no strings. All right. So anytime you see an exclamation mark in front of anything, it means that thing is not true. So yeah, like you see here, exclamation mark in front of the equal to means that thing is not true. So if you want to say if this something is false, so not true, for something to be not true, it means that it's false. So if this something is false, then do this. All right. So we'll see different use cases of these common operators, or rather comparison operators, when we're carrying out calculations and different things. All right. Moving on next. The next thing now is all right. So comparison operators. So the double equal to checks if x is equals to y. And in this case, we see that x is not equals to y because it's false. All right. So then the triple equal to checks if x is strictly equal to y, including data type. So it checks. It checks data type specifically. Then x greater than y checks if x is greater than y. Okay. So the next slide is the looping structures. So we're going to be looking at loops. Like I said, if you have any questions, sure, like just prepare them after the class, or rather after my slides. Before we go into the practice examples, we can go over your questions and clarifications. Now we're looking at looping structures, the for loop. All right, so for loop. The for loop has first things first, has initialization, condition, and increment slash decrement. Then a series of code to repeat. Okay, so the for loop is one of the most commonly used loop structures in most programming languages. So it's not just JavaScript. So the for loop basically says, so until a provided condition is met, a block of code will have to be executed and would keep being executed. So the initial expression we have, one of the first things we have is the initial expression, the condition, and the update expression. So the initial variable from which the execution process begins is referred to as the initial expression. So initial expression is the first thing you see. So let's look at the example there. So we declared a variable there. Let I be equals to 1. That is the initial variable. That is the initialization. So we know that I is 1. All right. So the next thing now is the condition. The condition. So for every time I is 1, sorry. So for every time I is less than or equal to 5, the code will run. But it has to be incremented, which so we now go back to the next condition or the next thing there, which is the increment slash decrement. So which is I plus plus. The I plus plus means that it should keep checking. So let me explain this again. So let I equals to 1. So the value of I is 1. So now the condition is that for every time that I is less than or equals to 5, add 1 to I. Do you get? So it adds 1 to I. So it will keep adding and adding and adding till it gets to 5. All right. So it keep adding and adding till it gets to 5. So it goes the first time. I is equals to 1. Is I less than 5 or less than or equals to 5? Yes, add 1 to it. So it prints 1 first. It prints 2 next. Because it goes again to check again. So it keeps checking. It keeps checking. So it goes again. I is equals to 2. Is I or less than or equals to 5? Yes. Okay. Add 1 to it. It goes back again. So that one you added to the 2 now becomes 3. It goes back again and checks. Is I which I is now equals to 3. So is I less than or equals to 5? Yes. Add 1 to it. So just like that, you have printed I. You have printed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So you have printed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if you don't want to see the 5, you get rid of the equal to sign. So you have that I is less than 5. So what this code will return is 1, 2, 3, 4, not 5. because you've gotten rid of the equal to sign. It's like inequality. I'm sure everybody did inequality at some point in secondary school. So it's sort of like the same thing. So for every time that I is less than or equals to 5, it's going to print a number starting from 1. And let me explain it that way. So for every time that I is is less than or equals to 5, it's going to start printing a number. And that number will start from 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. But if I is now equals to 6, the code can't run. All right, the code can't run. So let's assume you remove that 1 and you put 6 there. The code can't run because I is not less than or equals to 5. It's actually above 5, so the code can't run. So there is nothing to increment. So we're going to actually look at all of these things now. So the next thing now is the while loop. So I probably didn't mention there are 3 loops in looping structures. So there is the for loop, while loop, and the do while loop. So we've looked at the for loop. Now we're looking at the while loop. So the while loop is basically, it doesn't take in an initialization or a condition or an increment / decrement like the for loop does. It only takes in a condition. And that condition is usually a Boolean. All right. Now, Boolean means true or false. So the example here is keep spinning a wheel until you win. So, like I said, anything that has a exclamation mark in front means that it is false. All right. It means that you've negated it. So if we took away the exclamation mark there, it now means is winner is true. So while is winner is false because of the exclamation mark, the function spin the wheel will keep running. Will keep running. Now this you can get an infinite loop just from this while loop. But I purposely did not want to show you the infinite loop. If you want to see an infinite loop, you would have to actually look it up yourself. So but the infinite loop is quite unnecessary. All right, it's quite unnecessary. But I'm trying to say that you can actually get an infinite loop from this statement. So while a condition is false, because of the negation there, the exclamation mark there is false, spin the wheel function will keep running. The next slide is the do while loop. So the do while loop basically takes the code first, then takes in the condition finally. So it will first take in the function, which is roll a die. So it will keep rolling a die. So it will first roll a die. The value for the die, let's say the value for the die was 4. If the value of the die is 6, it will then check. If the value of the die is 6, no, it will run it again. So it's sort of like a for loop in a way. All right. But the condition is taken after the code runs. So the code runs, then it now checks. Does this answer or answer, or let me use answer. Does the result from this code I just ran give me the result that I'm looking for? If it does not, repeat it again. So you can use this in a code that has a random to it. So let's say a function that has a random value that is supposed to return a random value. All right. A function that's supposed to return a random value. But let's use this die now. So if a die has values from 1 to 6, now the function is supposed to return any value between 0 and 6. All right, it's supposed to return a value, sorry, between 0 and 7. So it is strictly between 0 and 7. So the code runs rather, and you get a value 4. Then the code checks, is the value 6? If it's not 6, it repeats it again. So it calls the function again. So it keep going like that till you get the value of 6. So that's how the do while loop works. It calls the block of code of the function, then checks, does the result from the function meet the condition set. If it doesn't meet the condition set, it repeats everything all over again. The next thing now is the concatenation. So in our last class, we looked at string manipulation, and I actually wanted to give this an assignment. Actually, I did, but I've already put together your assignments. It's just I haven't put it out yet. But when the time comes, I'll actually put it out. So string manipulation, concatenation. So in the last class, I explained what concatenation is, which is combining strings with the plus operator. So you could have someone's first name, you could declare someone's first name as a variable, declare the last name as another variable. Then you add the two of them in one separate variable. So I actually asked in my last class how, let's say you have one variable John, the next variable Do, and you put a plus sign. How do you now add space? Well, spacebar is actually recognized as a string. So the way to do this will be to put space just the way it is there, plus sign and exclamation, sorry, the like colons now, no, not colons, parentheses, put a space in between the parentheses, then come outside, put plus sign, and then the last name. Just like that, you have John Doe, and it looks okay. It's not combined as one. All right. So there's a space bar in between John and Doe. So that's concatenation. The next thing is we're looking at the methods. So like I said to you, there are so many methods in JavaScript, hundreds of them. So you'd have to choose the method you want for the different things you want to do. So we've declared a variable hello world as text. So the name of the variable is text. Now we want to convert the text to uppercase. So all you need to do is to just call the method uppercase. If you want to convert it to a lowercase, all you need to do is to call the method to lowercase. Just add it at the end of the variable to lowercase. Then part of the string is, if you want to slice it, you want to take the strings from a particular number to this particular number, you can do that as well. So in programming, I don't say JavaScript now, in programming, 0 is counted first. All right, 0 is counted first. So you start counting from 0. So if you have to count hello world now, H is 0, E is 1, L is 2, just like that. So text the slices from the from the 7th character to the 12th character. So it takes that part of the text. All right. So there are so many methods for string manipulation. So like you see there is to uppercase, to lowercase, slice, and substring. All right, moving on. Then, okay, we're already at the conclusion. So like I said, this class is going to be fast because we're actually going to be looking at practicing. Um, I'm going to be coding and you guys will be seeing it, everything. So we're going to make use of everything you know and everything you've learned. All right. So control flow, loops, and string manipulation are fundamental for coding. Practice with examples to solidify your understanding. So it's not enough to just know, oh, there I know what type cohesion is, I know um what they call them, what double equal to is, and what a triple equal to is used for, what the how to negate a boolean, all of those things. It's not enough to know that. You have to actually practice these things. All right. So any questions or clarifications? Uh shoot. Does anybody have a question? All right, go ahead.
All right, thank you, sir. Please, what's the dollar sign used for, and where does it belong?
All right, so use the dollar sign when you are well, template literals. When you are writing a code that requires you um what is the word now? Well, I have this weird thing where I understand how something works, so now it's just explaining it so another person understands. So please sort of like bear with me. I didn't prepare for that aspect. But use it for template literals. So you are writing a sentence now, you want to console log a sentence. Um, how did your day go? But you want the person's name to be there. All right. But you already declared the person's name um as a variable. Let's say the person's name is Oluchukwu. Let me use your name now. Person's name is const name equals to, or that const first name, you know, the normal camel casing const first name Oluchukwu. So you want to console.log that. So how you do that is how you first console.log, open the bracket, then tap on the backticks. So there is a particular key in on your keyboard, your laptop keyboard called a backtick. It's directly below the escape button. So you tap on the backtick, then you begin to write, how did your day go, comma, then you put the dollar sign, then you put the curly braces and write the name of the variable. Then you close the curly braces and you close the backtick. You put another backtick, then you close your console.log. Now, when you call that function or you console.log it in your on the console of your browser, you clearly see that it's just replaced how did your day go Oluchukwu, because you called the variable into the sentence. So the dollar sign enables you to not just the dollar sign with curly braces now enables you to do what they call template literals. All right. I hope that makes sense. I think we'll be seeing that in probably in the next in these practice examples we're about to do. Any question? Any other question? Did I sort of like clarify that for you? Oluchukwu?
Yeah, well, I kind of still confused, sir. Maybe as we practice, I'll get better.
All right, all right. Any other questions? Any questions? All right, go ahead, Kingsley.
Yeah, please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, please, you talked about live server last week. I just want to remember what can it be used for? The live server you talked about last week. No, on Tuesday, sorry. Not last week, on Tuesday.
All right, all right. So, the live server. Sorry, could you just like mute yourself?
Huh? Okay.
Okay, yeah. So, live server is an extension on your VS Code. Um, it enables you to go live as you're editing that your HTML file. You can see it live. You know, so you're going to need it because you're going to be using it as you're editing your or introducing JavaScript logic to your code. So you need to be seeing these changes live. So um, live server works more on your HTML file. So you have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript file um, in your folder. So you go straight to you click on HTML file. You see the go live extension at the bottom, right there at the bottom of your window. Then you click on on live server. Then it quickly opens up a server for you. So, but the way to get that live server extension is to go to the extension side of your VS Code and just quickly browse for it there in the extension side. Then click on install. Then to install it on your VS Code. That way you can use it as an extension on your VS Code. All right. Did I clarify that, Kingsley?
Yes. Okay.
All right. Anthony, you have a question.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
How can you install a live server in your decoder? In decoder,
Okay,
that
are you talking
is
about
for phone users.
okay, live server is not available for phone users. I'm really sorry. It's not available on devices like mobile devices. But I think on mobile devices you should be able to, as you're making changes on your HTML file or your CSS file, these changes you can see them, without having to compile them. All right. You don't have to really compile it. So you can just be making these changes and you'll be seeing them.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So we are going to be, there are no other questions. If you have any other questions, please just type them or okay, Anthony, do you have another question?
Sorry, it's not question, but is to remind you to send that is the slide in Drive, that is document, so that we can be able to have access to it to read it. Will help us very well.
All right, all right.
If, even the
Oh,
last Tuesday on.
all right. I'll make those slides available. But please don't rely on slides. I always will okay, while I'm making slides available, I will make the places for you to check, the places for you to read more about JavaScript, JavaScript methods, functions, parameters, arguments, all of those things. So I will actually just send those links on. All right, so we'll be going over to the practical aspect of this class. Please, if you have any other questions, just leave them in the in the comment section, um or just get my attention. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and then switch it to another screen. All right, so can everybody see my screen?
Yes, yes.
All right. So I'm going to be using a all right. So I'm going to be using W3 School editor because I don't want to use my own laptop editor. You know, it's be quite stressful for me jumping back and forth in between VS Code and the browser. All right. So I want that as I'm writing the code and writing the JavaScript code and I'm running it, you are seeing it. All right. So all right. So the next thing now is so you know how HTML works already. So just completing this part. The next thing now will be writing the let's say do a H1, just make it look nice. Um, JavaScript bootcamp. All right, so let's just run it so you see that it actually works. So you see. All right, so the next thing we're going to be looking at is today's topic, which is um, condition, or control flow. Let's see, control flow, loops, and string manipulation. All right, so uh, a quick instruction to. Sorry, I'm not really good at talking and putting anything there. All right, so instruction. So click the button below to run the code. Then we're going to be creating the button. So currently now there's nothing inside the button. So you see control flow, loops, and string manipulation. So click the button below to run the code. So there's nothing inside the button now. So we're just going to call it run. All right, so remember I told you that there are certain attributes on HTML tags. There is on key down, on click, that enable you to call JavaScript on them. On key down, on click, on hover, or mouse in, mouse out. Those things, there are different, should I call them attributes now, or properties you can call on HTML tags. But we'll be looking at on click. So on click, it should call the function. Now I know I haven't really talked to you guys about what functions are, but in our next class we'll be looking at functions. So functions are just a collections of commands, collections of instruction. So you want this button to do this. So you'd have to give it a certain collection of instructions. All right. So for this one, we'll be looking at this right now. Let's look at this. All right. On click, it should call my function. And it's not enough to just say my function. All right. But this time I'm not going to go into it so a little. All right. In JavaScript, you have to invoke the function that you actually wrote. So the way to invoke it is by putting those parentheses, that's those two brackets. That way the function has been invoked. Now we have to declare that function. All right, so we have to declare it. But I want the function to run where you can see it. I don't want it to print in the console. All right, so I'm going to create a p tag and give it an ID that we can call. All right, so we're giving the p tag, an empty p tag, because the content of the p tag will be populated based on what we do in the JavaScript. All right, so then we come outside of the body and we call a script tag. All right, create a script tag. So here we now call our function. So to write a function, would have to declare. We have to first write the keyword function. So JavaScript, or rather the browser, knows that, oh, this is a function. After writing the keyword function, then we now do this, my function. So writing the name of the function that we just, invoked above. And open the curly braces, which is the place you're going to put the collection of instructions. So we're going to declare a variable. So in our next class, we'll be looking at what they call global variable and local variable. So, but for now, I will just declare a variable. Okay. Now this keyword, this word prompt, is actually a window object method. Now it only works for the window. Now when we run it, you see why. So please enter your name. So we're done writing the JavaScript code. We're done declaring a variable. Sorry, declaring a function. Now, when we click that button, we are going to call that function, or rather invoke the function through that button. We said that in the button, on click, it should call my function. And my function, we've declared a variable in it. Now, everything here, I want to believe you understand. But the only thing that may look strange to you is the prompt keyword, the function keyword, let's say the on-click keyword now. But I believe it's supposed to have been covered in HTML. HTML, like I said, in every HTML attribute has that JavaScript attribute or JavaScript property. We call it property now. So on click, on key down, on mouse over, mouse in, mouse out, and what have you. So well, I'm going to click the button now, and you're going to see why it is called, why I called it a window object, or that why it is called a window object method. So once you click it, it covers the window. So if you don't respond to this prompt above, and maybe you've been browsing before and you saw this kind of thing, oh, Oh wow, okay. I noticed that you guys can't see it on your screen. Wow. Oh, but are you guys seeing that prompt above? No. Okay, you guys could not see it. Please, could you respond? No one could see when I
I
click the
can
button, what it does.
I can only
No,
see mine
I
because
can't
I'm
see
running.
it.
Okay, you can't see what happens when I click the button.
Yes, I can't see anything.
All right, all right.
I can see mine because I'm running the code as you are running it, so I can only see my own from my own screen.
Oh, okay, okay. Sorry, just hold on. Pleasant, I've been seeing your hand. Do you have a question? Pleasant, your hand is up. Do you have a question? Okay. All right. So can everybody see? Can you see it now?
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
see
We
it.
really
Something like
okay. You guys. Yeah. That's a prompt. So you can see where I put Anthony. You can see it right here, Anthony. The name Anthony is inside the prompt. So if you don't respond to this thing here, this pop-up, if you don't respond to it, you can't do any other thing on the website. So it's a window object. It's a window object method, and it can only work for the entire window that is open. All right. So I say okay, it's okay. It just leaves the screen. So we've seen now that's what a prompt does. All right. Prompts the user. You get it prompts the user. And if I decide to remove this Anthony here, and I do this, sorry, hold on. I remove the Anthony here and I run the code. I do this. You see that it's empty now. There is nothing inside. So I can put um, name Darrow and just say, okay. All right. Something has to be put in there. All right. So next thing we're going to be looking at is the if. So if person, if person is not empty, return document. So we're going to call that ID that we put there. So document dot. So like I mentioned to you, whenever you see document, you are referring to the whole HTML file. So you're telling JavaScript to document dot in the document, get this element, get an element. You already know that HTML tags, those are sort of like elements. So you get this element by ID. You can say it get by class, get by ID or get by class. Or you can do query selector, get by query selector, you know. But we're using ID here. So get by ID, demo. So you put the name of the ID and you close it. Now it has gotten it. So what do you now want it to do with it? you've told JavaScript it should look through your HTML file, get a particular element having this particular ID. Okay, it has gotten it. What next? You want it to, anywhere you see inner HTML, it's string manipulation, all right? So it helps you manipulate the content of a particular element. So you can update, change it, depending on whatever you want. So you tell it to get this element by ID, then update the content that is inside that tag to this. So let me just quickly explain what I did there. So document.get element by ID. We told JavaScript it should look through the HTML element or the HTML file, get a particular element having the ID demo, then it should update the contents by that method inner HTML. It updates the content or changes or removes entirely the content of the element tag or the element or the HTML tag. So dot inner HTML, then it changes what's inside that p tag. So we told it that p tag having demo, it should now say hello, then the name of the person that was put into the prompt. They ask the person how they are doing today. So let's run the code. So I'm going to put in my name, Evans, and just say run. So it says, hello, Evans, how are you today? All right. All right. So does that make sense? Does anybody understand what's going on there?
Yeah.
All right. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? All right. So I would actually love for us to go through the rest of the examples, but um sorry. I actually have another meeting to be in the next 5 minutes. But I hope all of this made sense to you. I'll quickly do another one. And yeah, let me just quickly do another one.
I have a question.
Okay. All right.
Like, but I don't know if this one is quite like out of the scope, but does the inner text, does this dot inner HTML do the same thing as the dot inner text?
Inner text. Not sure. I'm not sure. I think you'd actually have to look that up. I'm not entirely sure. All right. It's been a while I actually used JavaScript HTML, so I don't actually remember a lot of it, but I think you would have to actually look it up. All right.
Okay. Right.
All right, let me just quickly do another one, and hopefully, I hope you guys be able to follow up on what I'm about to do next. I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. Actually, as straightforward as possible. So I'm declaring a variable temperature, and all right, I know a question will arise from this thing I'm typing here now. So, but no problem. I'll actually go into a question. So you enter the temperature. So let me just quickly explain it as I'm moving forward. The parse floats, what basically parse float does is that, let me just finish like, then I will. So basically, the temperatures are usually in numbers, you know, but it could have decimal numbers too. A temperature is never actually just, oh, you know, just 35 or 25 or 26. It can be 26.7, 29.8, just like that, 37.7. I think that, right? I think 37.7 should be the normal optimum human temperature, right? Or is it 35? I can't really remember anymore. But what parse float enables you to do is that you take it, it's a method as well, it's a JavaScript method. Like I said, I wanted to actually go into methods, but I realized that there are hundreds of it. If I entered into it, we will not live here today. So um parse float, anytime you see float in programming as a whole in general, anywhere you see float, it just means the data type is taken in is a decimal, has to have a decimal. So it's basically floating point numbers. So it's taking in a decimal number or something that has a decimal number. All right. So parse float is, which means that this particular variable is ready to receive a decimal number. So whether you put in just 10 or 10.5 or 10.500 and 5003, it's going to take it. All right, because it's a decimal method, a method especially for decimal numbers. If I try to change this into parse int, it will only take in whole numbers. So even if you put in a decimal number, it will only take in the whole number aspect. All right. Okay, so I think that's the only thing that will be strange to you in this couple of things I'm typing. So if statements, so it's now going to compare the temperature value that you put in. If it's less than 0, and it's going to tell you, let me just close this now that I actually remember. I carried it. It's going to tell you, console, or rather, no, I don't console, alert, alert it. So, yeah, I think I spoke too soon on that aspect. Saying that fast flow is going to be the only thing that you have questions on. So it's going to alert it's freezing. So you know that anything that is sub-zero is freezing. Then that's not the only thing you're checking for. Else if takes there's, I don't call it arguments now. It takes in a condition as well. So else if temperature, oh god, I was using my ID now, and I finished typing the temperature now. So it checks if temperature is greater than or equal to 0, and yes, so there is the and operator. There is and, or, and if. Wow, okay. If operator is usually a question mark. The or operator is usually this. Right, just a straight line. That's not L, that's a straight line to your keyboard, and you can just check for it. So the and operator is usually a double ampersand. So that double ampersand is an and operator. So it's checking if the temperature is greater than or equal to 0, and the temperature is less than or equal to 15. It's going to, sorry, could you give me a minute here? All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. So it's going to alert. It's cool, but you should take a jacket. And finally, else. All right, so I believe this block of code I wrote is a bit self-explanatory. So it's going to check if the temperature is less than 0, it's going to tell you it's freezing. Oh my God, I didn't complete my, so I'm going to give us an error. All right, semicolon at the end. All right, so you're going to tell us that it's freezing, but if the temperature is greater than or equals to 0, at the same time less than or equals to 15, just somewhere within that range. Like I said to you, this is, you have to apply your knowledge of inequality here. All right. So then it's going to tell you it's cool, but you should take a jacket. But then if it's neither of all those conditions, then it's going to tell you it's warm outside, go and have fun. All right. So let's run that code. So alert works the same way prompt does, but alert doesn't take in any value, right? Alert doesn't take in any value, but it works the same way prompt does. So, all right, okay, it's not running. I think there's an issue somewhere. Did I close?
I hope you remove the hello plus person.
The what?
I think you cleared that hello plus person.
It's running. I don't think
Yeah,
any.
yeah, okay, yeah, it's running now. Yeah, yeah, I did. So, so we take in, let's say we put 5. The temperature outside is 5.5. So it's what it tells you. It's cool, but you should take a jacket. All right. Can everybody see that? Can everybody
Yes,
see
yes.
what's on my screen? All right. Okay. Um, what if we want to now take in something else? Let's say we put -5 or minus 30 degrees now. So it says it's freezing. So you see, it's sort of like working. So it just checks if the temperature is less than 0, then it returns it's freezing. So, okay, Anthony, what's your question?
Question was how the first one you did, the number you put there, I didn't go that place. You put to show this thing, take a jacket. Do you get me?
Yeah. The number I put there.
Yes. You didn't put it in, only 15 you put there in the, that is, in the coding place. Then the place you run it, you are putting another thing. So I can't, this, can you explain?
Okay. So generally, it's only taking the argument of it's only working with numbers here. All right. So the past float that I put earlier when I was declaring the variable temperature, the past float knows that it's only looking out for numbers. So as like I can just as well just put a number there, put 0, put 15 there without, and I will not have any issue. All right. I can easily just put 15 or 0. I don't have to put them in strings, so I don't have to declare them as a variable. Because my variable temperature is being compared. Remember we talked about comparison operators. So my variable temperature is being compared to those values inside my function. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So I'd really love to go into another example, but it's already sort of like time for my meeting by 9 p.m. So I really thank you guys for joining in. Right after this call or later tonight, I will actually send in the slides, last week Tuesday slides, today's slides, and the places that you can read up more about JavaScript. Right?
Thank you for that, sir.
All right. All right. Thank you guys for joining the meeting.
Quick
Really
question.
appreciate it.
The pass int, you said it doesn't take a decimal, but it takes just an integer.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah, it only takes
trying
an
to.
integer.
So now I put the pass int, and I'm trying using decimals, and it's still giving me the it's still like calling it's freezing or it's cool even with decimal when I'm using pass int.
It's giving you the decimal number.
Yeah, it's giving me with decimal number when I change it to a pass int.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Not sure. Actually, not sure. But I do know that I tried it out myself, and it only gave me a single number. All right. It only gave me a single number. So
So is it meant to give you a single, like is it meant to give you the number according to the, when you said it's pass int, meaning that it will take only
yeah.
what you're imputing should be only an integer. But if you use the pass
Yes.
float, it can take a decimal like 5.5 or 27.5.
Yes. Yes.
But it's still giving me, it's still taking it, and I change it to pass anyway though. I feel maybe it's still just reading it the same way, probably. It's reading the conditions the same way.
Yeah. Are you using VS Code?
Yes.
Do you have auto save? Like, did you save
Yes.
your?
Yes, I have
Okay.
autosave.
Okay. Well, I'm not entirely sure why, but yeah, I'm not entirely sure why. I guess maybe you can figure out why it's not. Yeah, it's just better to figure out why yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah. Peter Mary, you have a question.
Please, the question is there a single and or is just and? And then what's the difference between the normal
Is there a
bracket
single word?
and
Could you speak up?
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Is there a word?
I said, is there a single and or is just and? And then what's the difference between the normal bracket and the curly braces?
Well, the difference between normal bracket and curly braces. It's a bit obvious now. One is coily, one is round. But I guess your question is how do you know when to use which one, right? I think that's your question. Okay. You only use the normal brackets when you are invoking or calling a function or writing a condition. You only use the normal brackets when you're using okay. But I want to say the normal bracket is the use case is depend on where you are using it. Depend on where you're using it. Like console.log has a normal bracket, does not have a curly braces bracket. You know. So for this thing I just particularized, the normal bracket is used for conditions. That's like when you write you've written if, then you put a a normal bracket, then you put in the conditions inside. You've written a while loop, you put in a normal bracket to put in the conditions as well. But curly braces is only and only for one use only when you want to write a code inside the bracket. When you want to write a code inside the bracket. And okay, the second use is for template